A second solar flare is it Eastern Europe. Or maybe a third one if you count the demo. I don't really know anymore. Whatever the count, one thing is true. No, I'm Not a Human is fully released, and we finally have a full view of the lore and world. With this new info, I will once again use my vast and peerless intellect to tell you how you could survive No, I Am Not a Human. Let's begin with the first hurdle. The sun is very hot. It's hard to say if the sun in this game is hotter than in the demo or the VHS version, but we do have a rough idea of how hot the world is now. Towards the end of the game, you'll get a news broadcast that says it's so hot right now in the equatorial regions that people are getting third-degree burns from just touching the ground. That is quite hot, but surprisingly not outside the realm of reality. As it turns out, having the ground be so high you get third-degree burns has happened before, in, of all places of course, Phoenix, Arizona. During the summer in Phoenix, it can get so hot that if you touch concrete, you will get a third-degree burn. The concrete regularly gets above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This is just further proof that Phoenix, Arizona stands in defiance of God. So the region of the equator is at least as hot as Phoenix gets during the summer, and probably even hotter. Which is really bad, but surprisingly still livable considering that Phoenix, Arizona exists. But let's for the sake of argument assume that the equator is even hotter than that. We know that it's hot enough up there that the ground will give you third-degree burns, and that basically every forest up there is on fire. The news also says that governments from the equator are not responding to attempts to communicate, which means that everything might have collapsed and they are failed states now. So, probably still worse than Phoenix, Arizona, given that Phoenix, Arizona has a functioning government. Part of my plan from the original video is still in effect. You gotta go as far north or south as you can get. Get as far away from the equator as possible and hopefully to a place where the sun's new heat isn't as bad. If the equator is this hot, then most of the world is probably too hot for human habitation, or at least too hot for people to live easily. The game is set in some unspecified part of Eastern Europe, and even then it's too hot during the day to go outside, so most hotter places are probably uninhabitable. Going to one of the poles is your best bet to be able to survive outside, and the game actually does have direct evidence that it will work. You can phone a woman who actually fled up north to escape the heat. She talks about how she went so far up north that plants don't really grow anymore, and that she did so to escape the heat. As it turns out though, it probably worked considering the fact that he's not complaining that it's too hot. We don't get much info from her besides her one phone call, but her plan seemingly worked considering she doesn't complain about it being too hot and doesn't mention anything about the plan not working. You'd think that if she mentioned fleeing north to escape the sun, she'd at least also mention if that plan didn't work out. Other indirect evidence that the north is probably livable is the fact that the woman's even alive. If it was too hot up there for her to survive, her fleeing north without a plan or any shelter would probably kill her due to the hotter sun. If it wasn't warmed up from the sun, then she probably would have frozen to death. This means that the north is either temperate, or at least at a temperature that isn't your average Siberian temperature. Any of you who watched my last video might think this means that the Svalbard plan is still in play. Unfortunately, that might not be the case. They confirm in-game via the TV that the ice caps are melting. Not even just ice caps, but it's also hot enough that a lot of lakes are evaporating. TLDR, the ocean level will rise. Svalbard, being an island, is in a rough spot then, given that sea levels will rise substantially. Antarctica or Greenland are probably our next best options. If it's hot enough for Antarctica or Greenland to be ice-free, then hopefully they're at least somewhat habitable now, or at least close enough to it. The newly risen sea levels should leave Antarctica and Greenland alone, at least relatively speaking, with some mountains and lower lying areas forming new islands now that the sea level's up. These new Arctic and Antarctic islands might be good places to settle down, considering I think Svalbard will be mostly consumed by the ocean. Another easier option might be to find an island on the Canadian Arctic archipelago. They should be sufficiently cold, and there are a lot of islands up there. Plenty of them probably will survive the rising sea level and provide good shelter from the sun and visitors. Visitors are the main issue this time around, given the fact that they are apparently now an infection and can spread. The signs to identify a visitor are a bit different this time. There are some of the carryovers from the original game release, such as perfect teeth, dirty fingernails, and bloodshot eyes. The rest are all new, and include things such as hairless armpits, black patches on aura photographs, bugs in their ears, bleeding gums, skin irritation, rapid eye movement, and fungus under the armpits. Like last time, we are looking for signs that can be identified consistently and that can't be fixed or faked. For example, dirty fingernails are easily cleaned and easily acquired. Someone having clean hands or dirty fingernails can mean anything from them being a visitor and washing their hands, or someone who just worked in their garden. It's inconsistent and really hard to actually use as a good indicator. On the other hand, perfectly white and straight teeth are much harder to fake. Most people are going to have some kind of thing about their teeth that's imperfect, Whether it is they don't brush enough and they're yellow, or maybe they didn't go to the orthodontist as a kid. Or maybe they're like me and went to the orthodontist but refused to wear a retainer afterwards, so their teeth kind of shifted back. The fact of the matter is, perfect teeth are hard to maintain and hard to manage. Most people are going to have something wrong with their teeth. The only way visitors can circumvent this is by knocking out their own teeth so they have imperfect teeth. But that circumvention can be circumvented by having people who are missing teeth get checked for more than one visitor sign. It's nice and easy. All society needs to do is stop doing braces and whitening toothpaste, and boom, visitors will stick out like a sore thumb compared to the yellow crooked teeth of the masses. Unfortunately, another new sign of the visitors is bleeding gums, which doesn't work well with our new anti-dental society because everyone will have crooked teeth and also probably bleeding gums because I don't know how many people will be brushing. No orthodontists, but keep brushing your teeth, but toothpaste can't whiten your teeth. It's very specific, but it can be done. Also, if someone shows up with perfect white teeth but bleeding gums, they're probably a visitor. Outside of a House MD episode, that's not a normal occurrence. One sign that can't be faked is black splotches on aura photography. The main issue with this sign is how weird the aura photos are. I suppose people could be trained to be able to spot the difference between normal aura photos and the bad photos, but I can barely tell, and I've played so much of this game trying to learn everything I can before this video. Skin irritation and bloodshot eyes are in a weird middle category. They're decent signs because they can't be removed or hidden easily, but they're also quite easily explainable, so it's just hard to tell. The three new visitor signs that will have the biggest impact, I feel, are insects inside the ears, fungus under the armpits, and rapid pupil movement. No normal healthy person is going to have bugs in their ears, fungus in their armpits, or have their eyes dart around rapidly not focusing on anything. Today's society, any of those happening to a person would probably get 911 called. It's unclear if the fungus can be removed, but it doesn't look like the rapid eye twitches can be stopped, and the bugs in the ears seem to be a constant among all visitors. All visitors have bugs in their ears, it's just a matter of if they come out when you're trying to search for them, because without any medical equipment it's kind of hard to look up in there. Consistent eye and ear exams might be a thing of the future so we can tell who's a visitor and who isn't. We will have a city of people with crooked teeth and good dental hygiene. Anyone missing teeth is immediately under suspicion. Ear exams along with the whole other barrage of visitor signs are required for anyone to enter the community. Visitors, of course, are shot on sight. The full game's new endings are what throw the biggest spanner in the works, honestly. A lot of the endings are insane and very supernatural, and I don't really know how to deal with them. How do you stop a giant mushroom that's accumulated too much of humanity's evil and is about to release it? Or a devil baby that's bringing about the end of the world? Or talking to the embodiment of death itself in a hole in the ground you found in a mine underneath your house? For the sake of this video, I am just going to focus on the main good ending. This is the one you get for surviving the game with only humans at the end. You and all the people bunker down in the cellar and just decide to wait things out, hoping your supplies don't run out. Eventually, about 2 months later, you get a message on the radio. The sun's cooling back down and soon the surface of the earth will be habitable again. So, I guess all my planning was pointless. You don't need to start a new society in the frigid Arctic, you just gotta survive for 2 months. Easier said than done, especially if you're not prepared, but much easier than trying to rebuild human society on an Arctic island. Once the sun has cooled back down, the main issue is visitors again. Do they go away? Are they staying? Are they a new consistent part of life? You have to figure out a way to deal with them. Or maybe they'll all die off. Maybe they were tied to the sun heating up. If they are an infection, then you just have to regularly screen for visitor signs. Am I advocating for walled cities to hide from a disease in the wake of a massive solar eruption? Yes. Is that also the plot of The Maze Runner? Also yes.